3, 2, 1, go.
I've waited so long for this moment.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's been, what, like a couple years that you've been submitting
Yeah,
this?
it's been a couple years. I'm very happy to see it in.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah. So the first thing about this game is that it's different than all of the Adventure Island games before it.
Yeah, this one's much more Metroidvania-esque.
Yeah, absolutely. I would liken this game probably closest to Zelda 2.
Yeah.
Side-scrolling, top-down overworld. You have to collect a bunch of items in order to go to everywhere. So the first place we're off to is Poka Poka Island.
Poka Island's kind of this little grasslandy place. It's pretty basic, pretty simple. Enemies are really nice, too. They tend to leave you with 1 hit point left almost no matter what.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to die just taking damage. But we are going to get a heart later on.
So the movement through here, the optimal movements is really precise. He has to punch the enemy and then go through him as his iframes are running out, and it's a very small window. There's a number of these switches that will activate these blocks, as you just saw the light blocks being activated. And you'll see those switches. There's one on each island, and he'll activate each one throughout the run, except for, he'll activate each one at least once.
The weapon you just got there is a silver sword. We need that to break a rock here so we can progress through the island. I mean, it's got better damage than Higgins' normal fist anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
Longer range, too.
Yeah, longer range is like twice as much damage.
So right here, he's going to go for a trick we've called the fish skip, which is a frame-perfect trick that will save about 50 seconds if he can damage boost up here. So
Missed it.
didn't get it. You could sit there forever and try it, but he said he was going to try it once and move on.
Yeah, it's a pretty big time save, but you can just sit there waiting for the fish to jump for forever because it's random when he decides to jump. So
Yeah, he either jumps or he doesn't, and it just cycles through that over and over. And so right there, he actually got a pretty early jump from the fish, but just didn't hit the trick. This is always one of my favorite rooms because you can just hold full speed and go over those springboards.
Yep. Get to go through that room again later on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So right here, all he needs is that silver sword, and he just can go straight to the boss. The movement through here is all the enemies are spawned in predetermined locations, and they all move in the exact same way. So you can do the same movement each time, and make it through.
you have to be a little careful in that last room that you don't spawn one of those moving trees on screen too early, or you have to wait an extra cycle for it.
So here, having the extra half heart helps him do this pattern here where he can just stand in the middle and tank the damage and kill the guy from Kirby.
Wispy Woods.
Yeah.
Wispy Woods.
So that item he just picked up was the light stone, and that's going to allow him to go into the next area. He's going to use that on a pedestal, and it's going to lower a blockade that is blocking the next island, which is Boa Boa.
Boa Boa, yeah.
Boa Boa.
Yeah, and so each of the islands have kind of this key that lets you into the next area. So he's going to use that up in this little gate area.
Make sure that you stop moving.
Yeah, you have to completely stop moving to use any equipment in the menu.
I'm sorry, what was it?
Excuse me, I mispronounced it. We call it equipment, and why is that, Mr. Cab?
Well, it's, typical speedrunning stuff. You just go up 4 times rather than down 5 times to get to that spot in the menu. So it's go down for magic, go up for equipment.
That's right.
There's a couple of these guys throughout the game, too. Just these little mini bosses hiding out in caves. Required items to move on.
They pack quite a punch, don't they?
They do,
Yeah.
actually. That
So-
one you can hit in the head, too.
Yeah, so now he actually got a stone there from that boss and gets one of these random encounters. So we'll explain those shortly. But the stone allows him to go through this gate as he gets 2 encounters here. So each encounter wastes about 6 seconds. It's completely random when you get these encounters when you're on the raft. So This is a very reset-heavy point in the game where you can get up to, I don't know what most encounters anybody's had, but like you could get up to 15, or you could have 2. So
Yeah.
it's extremely random. And he's already had
These
3 at this point.
Really
I mean,
early encounters.
Yeah, at this point, 3 encounters is quite high. So
Yeah, we had good luck in practice, so it feels like this
yeah,
cart's
it's
revenge.
making up for
this
it.
is paying back. So based on the first enemy you see in this encounter, you'll know which path to take. I think the left path is slightly faster. but-
Left path is always easier
Okay.
to get through. You just it's the right path. Sometimes they're in your way where you have to like do some weird extra jump movement around to get past them. So left, I just always hold left to make sure I get through. I think that was 5.
Yes.
yeah.
There's also so there's 3 of these hermit kind of guys throughout the game. Each of them kind of teaches you something different. This one, for some reason, teaches you to just push rocks. I don't know why you need 100 coins to learn how to do that, but this guy, I guess, has good technique. There's also 2 other men that teach you an up stab and a down stab, kind of like Zelda 2 as well. We don't really need those for the speedrun. In fact, you actively do not want the down stab for the speedrun.
Yeah. It's actually really fortunate that the king at the beginning of the game gives you 100 coins so that you don't have to farm money for the push.
Yeah, that would change the route completely, I think.
Yeah,
Pick up a chest or have to kill a bunch of enemies.
I don't think we mentioned it really, too. Like, you can't even leave that room without talking to the king, so it kind of works out both ways.
Yeah, it's required. All right, so he's got the shove, which means he can get the ice bell, which is in this chest here.
Need this to get onto Haya Island.
Hiya, hiya.
Hiya, hiya. Shoutouts to Fast at CC's favorite music in the game. When we get there.
I wish I could say I have never seen this from my cart before, but
I think that's double digits now.
Yeah,
Yep.
we just hit 10.
6 seconds every time. So that's a minute.
So yeah, a minute. He's lost a minute to pure RNG. A minute and 6 seconds.
Marathon
It's
luck
fine.
at its finest.
Well, we do have a $100 anonymous donation that says "Keep going."
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is where it's a little unfortunate we're playing on the Japanese cart instead of the English cart. Like a lot of other games, the Japanese cart, just the text goes by faster. But here on the English cart, the translator was having a little fun. Actual text from the game. The ice giant cometh and breaketh downeth the dooreth.
Definitely some top tier localization there.
Yeah.
We had a practice room earlier, and I had the handicap of using the J cart instead of the English cart. And Lack and Papat were actually still talking to the king, and I was starting the first island. So, like, you save that much time.
Yeah. So here he's going to do what we call the bunny boost to get up to the fire sword
Come on, bunny.
that's right above him.
Go up, bunny.
And it's random when they jump out as well, but there he gets it right onto the cloud. Very well done. The fire sword's actually required. It will not let you go into the castle here in Hiya without breaking that ice pillar.
And this
the,
can only be broken with fire.
It's the equivalent of leaving the key under the doormat.
Yeah, yeah, they leave the way in right outside the gate. So there's a lot of like hidden movement tech in here that like you can jump up vines. Running down slopes is slower, so you always see him running or hopping over the slopes. There's actually ledge grabbing in this as well. So like if you jump the perfect height, like you can run immediately. You don't bump your head on the ceiling, so you can hit those bats without losing any speed.
Yeah, it kind of sucks you onto the floor sometimes for that.
Yeah. So he's grabbing one of 2 armors that he'll get in the game. There's actually 4 armors. He does that little hop there to prevent pushing that ice block over, so he can hop up to that switch.
So the entire goal of this island is actually to push that ice pillar down that gap. It smashes a hole in the floor later on, but we need to hit that star switch first to be able to get to it. So lap 2.
Yep, so we're going back around. He actually passed a little alcove there that contains a shield, a fire shield. We don't actually get any shields in the game.
Shields are worthless.
They're pretty much
They
worthless,
really
yeah.
are.
They're so bad. Like, you have to be standing totally still for them to absorb a hit, and it's just really bad.
So he's going to get this heart container. and that is a false floor, so you have to go back around now. That's a very precise jump to get through.
Okay, just a little bit longer on
Yeah,
the music.
yeah, I know, exactly. The music in this game is really, really good. I think one of my favorite soundtracks on the SNES. So he activated that star switch, or deactivated it, so that he can push that giant boulder down. I don't know if you saw, but when he fell down the long chasm or whatever, there was a blockade at the bottom, so he has to push that boulder down to open that to make way to the boss.
One other thing, though, is we do want to hit that star switch again this pass through to reactivate those blocks.
Yeah,
we want them to be solid again later on. So
yeah, it'll help us get an item that we need later.
Turning them back on.
I like that he waited to make sure that it hit something there.
You can never be too sure.
Yeah, so that's where the boulder broke it.
So I think we're fighting a mammoth now.
Yeah, we're fighting all the prehistoric monsters here. So the woolly mammoth encapsulated in ice. Also another check to see if you have the fire sword. If somehow you made it past, you wouldn't be able to kill him otherwise. So his nose actually will retract here and let him get close enough to hit him right in the face with the sword. And surprisingly, one hit doesn't kill him.
Yeah. Stab him in the
guy's
eye.
tough.
Stab him in the eye, and you can see it clearly bothers him. So you could just sit here and knock him out. And that was a really, really good fight. So there he got his third stone that lets him get the key to the next island that we've actually been by once already.
Yeah, we're going to get the sun ring to activate the volcanoes. We're also going to get a magic wand and start building our magic meter. There's a lot of these magic jars throughout the game. Each one you get gives you a new magic spell that you can use. This is kind of the first one. We want to get 4 so we can get a warp spell later on in the game, and that will make the end game a lot faster.
Yeah, the wand actually isn't required. Like, you don't need it to beat the game, but without it, I mean, it would add many minutes.
Yeah,
to
it
the
would
run.
add a lot of time.
Yeah.
Plus a lot more encounter chances. Or you just take all the island bridges.
I guess this is also kind of a key point in the game. We don't want to take that much damage right now at all. We are going to go with a damage boost as the start of the next island. It's going to use most of our 2 hearts of life right now.
Yeah, that's basically the main reason we get heart containers in the first 2 islands. So there's the wand. You automatically get 1 magic bottle and get the feather spell. There's actually some really cool spells in the game, and we see 3 of the 8. The feather spell warps you to the beginning of the island, so it'll warp you to the entrance room. And we'll go over the other ones when we get there. So no encounters
Making up
there.
earlier.
Yeah. All right, so this is very precise movement through the first room once he uses the sun ring to open the gate.
Yeah, unfortunately, all the other cutscenes aren't quite as top tier in their localizations as the Ice Giant. This one's just the volcano erupted and blew down the gate.
It's a very targeted volcano.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too early. I'm just gonna go the normal way.
Yeah, so that dragon there could spit out fire, which then would let him go onto a cloud, which skips this entire section. Like the credit, is that G who found that?
Yeah, that was G Unit that found that boost.
So there's another runner of this game. His name's G Unit, and he found a lot of routing improvements, kind of when the game was in the 50 to 55 minute range. He lowered it a lot by doing something like that. Was one of the big things that saved like a minute just from going through this whole part of the island. So he actually would have come in right here.
Yeah, right up here is where I would have spawned at, or boosted up to.
part of what makes that harder is just the timing for the dragons shooting their fireballs. I feel like it's based on how long they've been on the screen, so getting there that fast is critical to just getting that shot at the right time and the right height.
Yeah, it's a very difficult trick. I miss it probably half the time. So. All right, so we're going to take a little detour. Each of the islands has one of these passageways or bridges to a neighboring island. So Boa Boa has a bridge that goes to Poka Poka and Haya Haya because they're next to each other on the map. And so we're coming here to get the Ice Sword. The Ice Sword does more damage than the Fire Sword, and will save a whole lot of time on the next boss.
Yeah, it looks like we go quite a bit out of our way to collect the Ice Sword. It saves an exorbitant amount of time to get it over not you having it.
Next boss is like 10 cycles without it, 3 cycles with it, so you definitely want to pick it up. We also want to get this hot spring while we're here. Just going in the room will activate it as a warp point later on.
Yeah, there's a spell. Once you get 4 magic bottles, you get what's called the Wing Spell. There's the Ice Sword there. The Wing Spell allows you to warp between the start of any island and also any hot spring that you've entered. Right there is a very, very tight jump that you can skip going all the way back around through the island and just hop over on that waterfall there. Luckily, it catches you right before. So he's doing another precise movement here to get this boost up to this treasure chest. It's just hard to get through there without getting hit by the other enemies. The boost isn't that difficult, but not getting hit by anything else is pretty tough.
Yeah.
And he got it first try. It's also great that the heart containers fill up your heart,
Yeah,
your
it's pretty
health.
convenient.
It's
So.
right there.
You
You only
do
have,
some more damage boosting here later on.
so the puzzle for Boa Boa Island is to hit these 5 switches. It just opens up the path to the boss's lair. And there's these sort of 3 vertical sections that hold those switches. So fortunately, the boss's lair is at the bottom of the 3rd one we're going to go down.
And there was another hot spring that we'll be visiting again later.
So most of these chests that we're running by, I think, just have money. There's a couple of magic jars maybe, but they're just really hard to get to.
Yeah, there's a lot, and you would need like the down stab or up stab to get to a lot of them too. So they're not required for this run, but need to know that they're there.
This is one of my favorite rooms just because the jump is pretty precise for each one of those. Plus, you kind of scroll the screen up a little higher each time because it clips you onto each platform. So you can get through the room really fast and be right at the top of the screen.
Yeah, it's a room that feels real good when you do it correctly.
Yeah, you have to be like really precise on those jumps, otherwise you're just floating in the air, losing seconds every time. So we're gonna do some more damage boosts here because running over the lava and jumping is faster than riding those vines. There's a couple of tight jumps to not get hit at all in a couple of spots, but fortunately is kind of, even though the next boss hits like a truck and takes a little while, it's really easy to dodge, which is probably the biggest marathon jinx I could give right now.
It's okay, we get to use the free heal spell here, so.
Yeah, so every magic bottle you get in the game will give you up to 8. Will give you a new spell to use, and so that was a recover spell. It gives them about half a heart. Now, who are we fighting here, Mr. Cab?
Well, this is the Mega Man 7 turtle, part of the boss exchange program. If you've ever played Mega Man 7, you get to the end of Dr. Wily Stage 2. There's a very similar looking turtle. Has completely different attack pattern, but it definitely has rockets that come out of its legs.
Rockets and attacks you with his babies or children or whatever. So.
Did we bring the danger wrap? I guess not.
We brought something.
This is a good time for donations.
Yeah.
If they have any.
Absolutely. We have a $20 donation from Meta Sigma that says, "Wow, I was able to get up in time to watch this. Awesome. Shout out to the SAI2 community. Great to see you all doing awesome things for an awesome charity." We've also got a $15 donation from Chainsaw Ape that says, "This was a game I felt like I was the only person that played. Absolutely killer game and criminally underrated. Glad to see it getting some love at GDQ." That being said, no love for the animals.
We certainly do kill a lot of animals in this run.
We've got a $10 donation from Taco Belmont that says, "The ice giant cometh and donateth $10."
Nice.
Thank you. Best donation. So you see here, it takes about 55 seconds per cycle, and we had 3 cycles with the ice sword. And how many are there with the fire sword?
It's like 10 cycles. It's a
Yeah.
ridiculous amount.
So the 2 minutes it took for us to go out of the way to get the ice sword makes up.
It's easily worth it.
Yeah, a lot of time. So
And actually, we're about to fight like another of these like weird mid-boss bosses on the island. It's too early for me right now. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
But the ice sword is basically its weakness too.
Yeah.
It saves a minute in that fight as well.
A little lore update. Tina was kidnapped and has amnesia, and so keeps appearing to Higgins in these dream sequences, and they kind of regather their memory over the course of the game. Higgins is going to save her because it's supposed to be the king's wife, I believe.
Yeah, the queen to be.
The queen to be.
Weird thing about those cutscenes is it never tells you who's actually talking, and it's very
You
later
just
when
kind of
they
have to infer.
Yeah.
recognize each other. It's like, oh, they were talking to each other the whole time. It wasn't just Tina.
Yeah, usually the one that's like calling Higgins fat is Tina.
Yep.
She does that a few times.
So we're on our way to get the next key to the next island, the power fan. We're also going to get another important item, the shovel. We wouldn't be able to progress without both of these, so it puts both of these keys up in the corner of the map. So
You also see Papat taking a lot of intentional damage here.
Excellent.
You saw that all the encounters we got just going to Haya Island. It's significantly faster if we get this and then just actually take a death warp back to the beginning rather than risking more random encounters on the way back.
I don't want that health.
yeah, the health is is pretty attractive there, but you really don't want it because you do want to take that death abuse.
All right, give me an encounter.
So now we're looking for encounters. After getting so many random ones, we're up to
Come on.
15.
There we go.
So that was all right. Yeah. I've never seen it drop the bomb after dying like that.
So yeah, the death warp does a couple of things. It gives you all your health back. It gives you magic back if you used it. And then in this particular instance, this line that we take from the first island to Puka Puka, this island here, you get no encounters guaranteed.
I love the steel drums.
Yeah, this island has great music. It also has the casino, but we're not going to go there.
We're not going to go to the casino.
I'm not going to the casino. Casino is an awful, awful place unless you just sit there and watch races for a very long time, don't make a lot of money, and don't plan to buy any of those items.
Yeah.
We don't actually have... I mean, there is technically a 100% category in this game, but nobody runs it. Metacivic
Other
kind of
than
plays it.
Metacivic,
Other than Metacivic,
who
one person runs it,
has a basically unbreakable world record because
Pretty
nobody else
much.
will attempt it.
No, nobody wants to go through that casino.
So you have to hit the all sevens jackpot twice to get everything. I think that's what Papat mentioned earlier in his interview.
Yeah, you have to hit the big jackpot twice in order to buy even just like you have the light sword on its own.
Like, they're really good items, but just sitting there at the slots all day is just not fun.
Keep missing these fast water jumps. So there's a 2-frame window that when you land on water, you can jump off of it and retain your running speed. It's pretty tight, and I'm just a little bit off right now.
Plenty more opportunities.
Yeah, there'll be a
show
few
it off.
more.
Yeah. This is our Death Mountain type island here, where you kind of go through a bunch of different caves or whirlpools to go to different areas in the island. And this is we're just kind of getting to the first switch of the island, but first we're going to grab some aqua armor. It'll be the last armor. It's actually the second best armor, third best. There's
Second
5
best armor.
I'm
There's
actually
only
not sure
2.
like how many there
I
are.
thought, I thought there was one more, but I guess not. So.
When I last got more armors in this game, this was available for rent at Blockbuster Video.
Oh, I didn't push left too early.
Yeah, so you could go around there, but you can actually clip up onto that platform and activate this hot spring for later. So you're like, why are we activating all these hot springs? So like once you beat all of the bosses, you have to go back through every single island and collect the spell from each island to open the final island.
Make both menu changes together make Master Higgins look a lot like Jumping Luigi.
So now we're, a lot of people call this Luigi armor.
So he's taking damage from the bird or the bomb there. It does way less damage than the spikes, and so he can take that small damage and then run across the spikes until his iframes run out.
Taking those hits too on those floating platforms, since when you're on a platform on this game and you get hit, the game is really nice and doesn't knock Higgins into the air, so it's a little faster.
So right here we're seeing the jump shovel that Papat invented there. That tech that saves a menu, and I don't know, it looks really cool. I've always wanted to jump and dig something at the same time.
Yeah, that's my major contribution to the game. Saves a menu. So pushing that switch lowers the water, or gets rid of a lot of the water in the stage. Lets you get to the switch in the stage.
And you have to do all these things before you can actually finally reach the boss's room.
Yeah.
The game was very cruel here and put the 5 whirlpools all kind of together, just so you can go into each one and get frustrated when you're playing the game the first time. Hooray for mazes.
So we'd like to mention that Papatot's actually he's a world record holder in this game and just achieved the world record last month on June 5th. He beat LaHulk's time. LaHulk runs a myriad of Super Nintendo games and
has records in most of them.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, so he's held the record for about a month now. LaHulk had it. Geed Unit had it, and then Papadot and I traded it back and forth when nobody else ran the game. So it was
way back in the early days.
Yeah.
1 for 3 on the jump shovels there.
I showed up a couple of years ago and have a mediocre time. And Jam, I think you picked this up as a 12-hour challenge?
Yep, I picked this up for the 12-hour challenge, and I've always wanted to run it, so getting into it was awesome. The community's definitely helped me learn it, so better times to come.
So this is the squid boss. Just kind of dodge these tentacles at first. You're going to get one more tentacle coming up soon with the rest of the squid. And the boss fight is basically hit the tentacle to make the squid vulnerable and hit him. Every time he's taking damage, his pattern sort of freezes. So we want to try to one-cycle him here. This is really good because he's supposed to throw another 3 of those orbs. I don't know what they're supposed to be, squid eggs or something else.
Okay, very nice.
That's really good.
Basically, he has a timer there that counts down when he is not being damaged. And so every time you hit him, it pauses that timer. And so what he'll do is he'll go back down under the water, spit out some ink, the water will get darker, and then you'll have to dodge the tentacles again, and then he'll come back up. So how many hits is it to kill him?
I think it's 25.
Okay. I think 25 is like kind of the magic number because other bosses have that as well.
One thing that's weird about that fight is once the water turns completely black, the tentacles are perfectly visible.
Yeah, you can see everything. So really, his own undoing. This is our last stone here, and it'll get us into Sala Sala Island.
Sala Sala, kind of the desert island. It does have the upstab on it. But,
it does.
Yeah, we're going to just pass right by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fun thing here is everything on this island pretty much hits like a truck.
The rare encounter.
Wow, that is very rare.
Fortunately, it was the Skullbat Dragon encounter.
It's free.
Love the music in this game.
So we are going to get our last magic jar pretty soon. It's going to be on those star blocks, which, along with that one appearance of them in the last island, why we hit that switch.
Okay.
Yeah, the movement through there is really tight too. Like if once the platforms turn red, you bounce up into those spikes, which do a full heart of damage. But if you move cleanly through the room, you can grab or get the yellow platform first to not bounce up into them.
So the moon switch pretty early in this island needed to progress further. The first half of this island, basically, you are in a pyramid, so it's a big maze dungeon type place. Lots of different passages, most of them leading nowhere.
Yeah, there's this big maze room coming up. There's 9 different doors that you can take. You have to have down stab to get to 3 of them, and only one of them leads the correct way to get to the next pyramid.
One little trick when you're digging there against the wall, like those passages are 2 tiles wide or 2 dig blocks wide because it's hard to dig directly underneath you. But if you're holding down, you can turn around without actually moving. So just useful movement tech there.
That will come into play later.
Yep. Alright, so just finishing up first pyramid. And hot spring for the second.
Oh, that was nice.
Why did I go into the hot spring?
Just to make sure that you
just
had
to make
full
sure I had
health.
full health,
Yeah.
I guess.
It's important for Higgins to relax.
There was one of those ledge grabs too.
Please clean your feet before scaling any pyramids.
Yeah.
It's just polite. All the switch blocks up there. I think we agreed earlier that goes to the crystal shield or something. More items not seen in this run.
Yeah.
So here we have this sort of platform maze. We don't like waiting on platforms, so we're just going to do that.
Yeah. That's a really small window to jump through there. So GDUnit also found this, which skips a huge part of that maze that we were just in. This activates this elevator so that you can get the axe, probably familiar from other Adventure Island games.
I think you're supposed to take that all the way to the end to get to a platform that can take you somewhat near that.
Yeah, you have to go over where the boss door is, and then go down to another door. It actually doesn't look like a door's there. It just looks like a pit, so you're unlikely to find axe anyway. But now that we have it, the axe does more damage than the Thunder Sword, and also it has an arc, so you can hit targets that are above Higgins' plane.
Going for a
Respawn
spike jump
sounds
here.
nice.
Just to cut out the rest of that ride. And again, just standing there while the enemy is in its iframe so it doesn't actually hit you, using the heal to let it kind of go the rest of the way. This is the mummy.
Yeah, this is a really annoying boss. He's the tape on the bottom there moves kind of randomly and can just move under you while you're in the air. These hands will drop if you run under them, but it's actually better and faster to hit them both in the air from the side. So this is phase 1, so just clean that up, and now he has to hit the mummy body.
The hand and the body, I think each take 16 hits each, and then you get the head. This is sort of please don't attack and please get stun locked.
Yeah, he can spit out a little snowflake that'll really get in your way, but he didn't there, so that was a really, really good fight.
Yep.
That snowflake that comes out blocks shots, hurts. You're just like dancing around the whole time, and you can barely get a stun lock back again.
Yeah, it makes the fight really tense when there's a snowflake running around you.
So there he picked up the Elven Flute, and in each one of the islands there is a kind of a monument that has a platform that you can use equipment on, and so that will open the secret area where the spell is hidden.
Yeah, playing the game casually, like, if you have no idea what you're looking for, you reach these monuments and you spend most of the game just wondering, what is this place?
Yeah.
It's got cool music and everything, but it's just this tiny room.
So you also use the wing spell there, which uses the 4 magic containers to warp back to the hot spring. So that's why we went into them earlier. Another good movement there through those platforms.
Honk.
Honk.
It definitely lets you know when you make a mistake.
Yep. I'm a fan of games that honk.
game really wants you to ride these slow elevators, but not when Pod's playing.
This one's required.
Yeah, except for this one.
Get a $10 donation from Jax that says, "Greetings from the Czech Republic, and a word of advice to all the players, you gotta go fast."
Best advice out there.
So that is the moon spell.
Takes damage from that bat, so you don't actually enter your iframes until you land. So he does that to avoid the 1 heart damage from the spikes.
Didn't get a running jump.
That's okay. We still have the wing spell, so
Yeah,
if
we're
you
just
get
gonna
back
wing
there.
to. We're just gonna wing to the start of
Hiya,
Hiya Hiya.
So we didn't actually get to a hot spring on Hiya Hiya because optimally you go back into the maze that leads to the boss door, and actually around the spot where we triggered that bat flying diagonally down to get to the axe is the passage that goes to Hiya Hiya, which is conveniently very close to the monument. Fortunately, it's not that hard to get to just from the start of the stage.
This is a very minor time loss, actually. I think it's probably comparable to just going to the bridge.
I'm gonna take a bunch of hits on purpose, though.
Yeah, we're going to be death abusing multiple times to get all of our magic back, so that we can warp quickly.
The Elven Flute, definitely not an ocarina.
This next section can be somewhat challenging at times just because, as we like to say, the blue licorice is impossible to grab.
Blue Twizzlers are impossible, dude.
For whatever reason, the blue vines just feel like they're the hardest ones to actually grab onto.
It's gonna take 2 more hits.
Yeah, you're hoping the bunnies actually come out there to damage you.
All right, remember to re-equip the axe.
Yes. So it's 2 of the spells. Heading to Puka Puka next.
You can take these islands in any order that you want. This is just kind of the standard route for it.
Really just kind of the order that naturally comes out of pushing the down button. You do want to go to the first island, Poka Poka, last, though, just because it's close to where our final destination is.
Yeah, they actually give you access to the final island right away, and you can go in it, but there's a gate blocking your way, so you can't go any further.
So this is a neat little bubble puzzle. Just float around through spikes.
Yeah, this is my favorite of the spell or the Elven Flute usage paths.
Just like the last one, we want a damage boost just enough to be able to reach it, and then quickly death abuse to get back to being able to use the wing spell again. Also, it's just faster to run than to float around in this weird bubble.
Yeah, you can pop the bubble at any point by pushing A, which he did right there.
And again, these spikes hit like a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 3/4 to a full heart almost. Right. Down, no.
But
Yes, down 5.
Yeah.
I almost forgot how many it was. Alright, and there is a lucky drop that you can get here. If you get a full magic drop from one of these enemies.
Yeah, you can skip one of the death abuses.
if you get a full magic jar, you get your 4 magic jars back, so you can use the wing spell again. There's a 5th magic jar we can pick up on the next screen, so we can just escape this island and then wing again. Kind of nice because you get the extra magic jar going into the last island. Saves a little time over taking the game over on purpose, but no luck today. I was half expecting that last dragon to drop it. just to be mean.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it is really helpful that the damaging actually boosts you up. So it makes a lot of the skips possible here.
Yeah.
And it also looks cool to get hit and then kind of bounce over the little platform.
The edges, yeah.
Yeah. I guess I got 4, heading back to the first island, Poka Poka, to get the last one.
And last one, we actually do need some sort of magic drop just so we can escape the island.
Yeah.
Sometimes that drop just takes forever to find. Kill the animals.
We got a $20 donation from ClickSpark106 that says, "Shaded by the moon. Good luck to Papat on finishing out the sick SIA2 all of random encounters run."
Max encounter.
Max encounters percent.
Yeah.
Every 5 steps.
Oh, I forgot to swap the feather. Sorry, Hulk.
Yeah, so he's looking for a single or full magic drop here, so he can use the feather to get back to the start, because you can just leave the island rather than death abusing, because Fuafu is right next door.
I'm gonna take that. He says, and then gets hit.
There it
Yo,
is.
there it is.
See, the birds don't drop any items, but the other guys can.
All right.
All right, so we've done all of our collecting. Now we can finally go to the last island, which is my favorite track in the game and one of the tops in the whole
Yeah.
SNES library.
It's a great track. There we go.
There we go. We got one water skip in there, so that 2-frame window lets you keep your max speed.
One thing about Fuafua, there's a lot of enemies here we've seen before, but they actually do a lot more damage on this island.
Yeah. Yeah, so the axe really comes in handy because you can get 2 on the screen and it kills most of these enemies. So you can kind of time them so it hits them as you're going to pass through them.
The tomato activations or pumpkins. Yeah, have we decided on what fruit these are?
I always thought they were a tomato.
I kind of went with tomatoes.
I never even considered pumpkin.
They're plants.
Yeah, so each one of these takes some time to activate, but you can actually skip the puzzle here. Like it wants you to go all the way to the end, but you can use this dragon here to boost up there, so you don't have to go all the way back around. So that was really good. All right, we're going to get into another little bubble here, and he's going to attempt what we call the squeeze to try to get past this.
All right, everybody squeeze. Squeeze.
Yeah! Very nice. And that lets you kind of skip going around the clouds there. You can just go right through. So yeah, the dragons take 1 axe and the clouds take 2, so you have to kind of stop to hit those, otherwise you're going to take a hit.
Foxes are pretty easy to dodge.
The last use of shovel.
There's one more required weapon to get here, the power sword. We need it to break a couple of boulders. Really just this one on the next screen. Of course, they put another one there as like the token, go find this thing. So we have another collectible behind a barrier. This is the last screen. We actually still want to activate this hot spring. Next boss here is the eagle. Just like other SNES eagles, it likes to dive a lot, and we're going to hit it a lot during those dives, optimally about like 12 times per dive.
Almost.
That's pretty good.
That's good.
That's a 9.
Yeah, so you can hit him on the way down here. It does say it counts towards his total damage that he takes. And you can get him like a good one is 3 cycles, a really good one is 2. And it's very difficult to time because he's moving away from you. Like if you get hit at all, you can't swing your sword anymore. So it takes a lot of practice.
It's neat. 17, 20, so it's 5 hits.
He does dive at Higgins, so you kind of want to wait for that sound and then move from there. Yeah.
Yeah, he dives straight at Higgins too. So like where you stand on the screen will determine where he
Yeah.
dives. So, well, we just beat the game.
did
Why,
it.
why did we get an item? That's kind of odd.
Yeah,
That's kind of weird. Maybe it's for New Game Plus.
So we finally saved Tina.
He's kind of a redhead here, right?
it's totally brown. What are you talking
Brown?
about?
It's light brown.
It's got a little strawberry to it.
Oh no, what's happening?
That's not right.
Higgins took off his armor before this cutscene for some reason.
Yeah, he just wanted Tina to see how handsome he looked with his 6-pack.
Sadly, the donation incentive was not met for the hula skirt couch.
Did you secretly add that as a donation incentive?
that was
'Cause
really
I wasn't
We should have
aware
put
of
that on there.
It was unlisted. Nobody was getting that one.
So this guy, I think, is actually talking about he's already kidnapped the king and other bad things. I don't know who this guy is, honestly. He's just kind of this weird final boss they threw on.
There's always like, isn't there always like an alien boss at the end of?
Yeah, it's usually an alien at the
Adventure
end of
Island.
the Adventure Island games.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is going to work out there because he's taking Tina to the sky.
Yeah, how are we supposed to get to this, guys?
Oh, really, this is another U.S. cart weird translation. I'm not going to get this right, and Papat's going to be mad at me. But
Legend tells of a sky bell that will lead its user to the skies.
who believes in legends anymore? We know it to be true. The innkeeper read about it in the Inquirer. Actual English text.
The Inquirer, indeed, is how he found out that you can get to the skies.
Yeah, luckily we activated that last hot spring, so you can go right to the final boss door there. The final boss door.
No magic drops from the dragons on the way up, so.
So I don't know exactly where we're flying, but the running theory is we're flying to the moon.
You see why in the final form.
So it's 20 hits per to kill the Phantom here.
He has to jump there. Those orbs will hit him if he does not jump. So you can squeeze in there and get some more hits in before a third phase starts.
Okay, just walk into it. It's fine.
Phase
And
2
swooping
down.
Phantom.
Once he gets back to the right edge of the screen, he starts diving. It looks like he has iframes when he's flashing, but he really doesn't. You can just keep stabbing him.
Right, and that was the true final boss, right?
I don't know, that's an ominous swirl there.
Higgins keeps getting bamboozled.
This part really freaked me out as a kid, honestly.
Yeah, first time I saw it. Oh look, a giant eyeball in the sky.
That seems normal. Must be Tuesday. So actually here, we mentioned briefly earlier holding down and not wanting the down stab. If you're holding down in this jump, Higgins will not move left or right, which is really convenient for jumping through between these two pincers and not getting hit by either one, since the scorpion kind of goes directly above you.
And there is a set pattern here, so you can fit these jumps in here in a pattern of 3-3-7-3. And then he will either do the dive or he'll throw the orbs at you.
Fun fact, the orbs come out even if you knock the arm off before they actually come out once the animation starts. So.
Time is coming up here pretty quick. If I can hit him. And I just wait this cycle out.
Time.
All right.
Was that 48-47?
Very nice.
Sub 50.
How many encounters?
I think that was 16 unintentional.
We had 11 in the first phase, then 1 and 3 and 1. So yeah, 16.
Not bad. I'm going to donate $2 per encounter for that run. Just because the extra time waste. Also, shout outs to Tina having brown hair. And then, why is her hair blonde? Does anybody know? Shaded by the moon in every other cutscene, indeed. That's obviously the reason. But yeah, that's been Super Adventure Island 2. Thanks everybody for watching. Stick around for ActRaiser, coming up next, and the rest of the SNES block should be a good watch.